kid, and I like to think really big. Would you like to think with me about all the possibilities? We're all think big kids. You could be a doctor or a teacher, or maybe a celebrity. There's no limit to what we can be. We're all think big kids. We're all think big kids. And we like to think big! Hi, I'm Grace, the Think Big Kid. Today we are going to explore a new career. Today we are going to learn about becoming a virtual reality entrepreneur. Virtual reality, or VR, is the use of computer technology to create a simulated environment. Virtual reality development involves the creation of a virtual world that can be experienced through special headsets that make you feel immersed into a new environment. This technology is very helpful for people with depression, anxiety, or Alzheimer's. You can look around or move around in a virtual reality scene, like going on a virtual field trip with dinosaurs. Lobaki Inc. is a virtual reality company owned by Mr. Vince Jordan. Join me as I interview Vince Jordan about his career as a virtual reality entrepreneur. I'm so excited to interview Mr. Vince. Let's go Zoom! Hello and welcome back to another episode of Think Big Kids. I'm your host, Gray. Joining me is Mr. Vince Jordan. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, Grace. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Are you ready to answer some of my questions?
I am ready to go, Grace. Thank you for having me join you this morning. I'm excited.
You're very welcome. Well, for our first question, it is, can you tell us what your job is?
Well, my job is to introduce people to virtual reality technology. So I work with educators around the country and industry folks around the country, and I introduce them to this brand new technology and try and teach them different ways that they can apply the technology in what they do every day. So it's really a lot of fun because I get to meet really wonderful people all over the place. And this technology is very cool and very different. And so, yeah, I do that. And then I work with them in a creative fashion, trying to figure out how to apply it. And I have a company I created 4 years ago. I'm kind of responsible for making sure that keeps going as well, which is a big part of my job too.
Let's recap. Vince is the founder of Lobaki Inc., which is a virtual reality company. He introduced educators and businesses to virtual reality technology, and he shows them how they can creatively use VR in their daily jobs. My second question, what is your favorite part about your career?
My favorite part about my career is getting to meet new and interesting people all over the middle of the country. I get to travel a lot. We're working in 9 different states right now, some of them way out west, most of them in the heartland of the country, in the middle of the country. And I just get to meet the most fascinating, amazing, wonderful human beings. If you had my job and all you did was what I do every day, you would think the world is full of just lovely human beings who shine like great big bright lights and are doing what they can to bring joy and well-being to the rest of the world. It's really wonderful.
Vince's favorite things about his career are meeting new and interesting people across the United States. He said he loves seeing people who shine bright as they think creatively. What skills, education would someone need to do your job?
That's a good question. Let's see. I think that one of the major skills, and it's interesting, I don't know if you can actually teach people this, I think you can, is to be creative. So we're doing things that haven't been done before in many, many, many different ways. And so it's like walking up to a blank whiteboard with a bunch of colored pens and somebody says, tell me a story. And you've got to think it out in the context of where you are and who you're with and tell a story that makes sense to them. So you have to be very creative to do this work. You have to have critical thinking skills. So we used to call them problem-solving skills, but I don't like the word problem so much. So we call them critical thinking skills. But you're looking at a situation and what needs to be done, who's involved, what kind of technology you have available to work with, and you got to put all those pieces together and figure out a solution. So doing puzzles is probably a great way to learn critical thinking skills, especially those great big ones with 1,500 different pieces. That could be a good one. Yep. And then what else? Determination, stick to it, if that's even a word. Keep trying. Yeah, those are some of the main skills that you need, and to be able to make people comfortable, like you do in your interviews, right? If you can make people comfortable and feel good about being with you, it's a lot easier for them to be introduced to things that they've never seen before. Sometimes they've never even heard of it. And you have to get them to trust you because you're always putting a headset on somebody's head. And that's a very, kind of intimate thing that you're doing in your first meeting. Here, let me put this thing on your head and I'll show you how this works and all that. So you've got to get people comfortable as well. So how to make friends, I think, would be a big part of what it takes to do this work.
Well, that's a lot of things I bet the Think Big kids and all the kids at home can start doing right now.
Yes, they can. Absolutely. Friends and family.
It's time for a Think Big Kid checklist. Practice being creative. Learn to be a visual storyteller. Work on your critical thinking skills by solving puzzles and playing games that require you to figure out something. Be persistent in life. Vince calls it stick-to-itness. Learn how to make people comfortable by gaining their trust and work on being a good friend. For our next question is, what kind of tools or technology do you use?
So the main technology that I use, I just happen to have one right here. This is a virtual reality headset. So you can see, right, that this goes up and you look in there and we strap this on and now you are entering a completely different world. So this is the main technology that we work with and use to do the work that we do. And then the other technology that we use are computers. So we have to create a lot of virtual reality experiences for people. And we do that on a computer and then send it to the headset so that they experience it in the headset. And then another piece of technology we use, which is one of my favorite, is a very special camera. So this camera has 6 lenses all the way around it. And when you go out in the field and film with it, it's taking 6 different files, 6 different pictures of what's happening around, and then stitches them all together so that when you're in a headset and you look around, you can see the whole world. And that's one of my favorite. I'm actually working on a couple of different projects right now where I get to go out into national parks and do filming there. I get to go down to the Mississippi River. I get to go into all these fun towns. I did one not too long ago in an airplane hangar where I filmed a pilot teaching us about how to do a pre-flight checklist. So that's one of my favorite tools to use is this camera technology.
Wow, I did not know that's how they do that.
Yeah.
I've been in many VR headsets.
Right.
The tech tools Vince uses are VR headsets, computers, and VR software, and 360-degree cameras to create virtual reality experiences. What can kids start doing today if they want to pursue this career possibly in the future?
Well, I think the thing that kids could do today would be, well, first of all, if you can get hold of virtual reality technology. I think there's a holiday coming up and sometimes there's gifts involved with that holiday. So you could ask the parents for a very specific gift for the holiday. That would be one way to start learning about this technology. Something else they can do very easily is on that creative side and that critical thinking side is do different types of experiences and games that have to do with puzzles and solving, ideas, coming up with clever ideas. That's something they could do. So interacting with each other and thinking about something that they wanted to create and what would it take to create it, even if it was just a human being. What if you were going to create a human being from scratch? What were all the components you would need and all the different parts you would need to do that? If you could think your way through that, you could actually figure out how to build almost anything. So there's lots of fun, creative things that you can do that don't even involve technology that would help you learn how to do what we do in this business.
Well, I definitely know if you're going to have to make a human, you'll need a big brain.
That's right? A very big brain.
Because I can start thinking big with me.
That's right.
Let's start thinking about tomorrow, today. We can start by playing with and interacting with VR technology. We can exercise our creativity and critical thinking muscles. And a cool idea Vince shared is we can think our way through building a human and then create a visual storyboard of our process. Mine is going to have a big brain, just like me. Is there anything unique about your job you haven't already shared with us?
Something unique about my job. Well, I spend a lot of time hiking in this job and climbing over things and going under things because when you're trying to figure out where the best place to put the camera is, you've got to do lots of walking and lots of climbing over things like fences and climbing under things like porches. It can be very strange sometimes if you're out in the field watching how we do what we do. We're constantly, have you ever heard of what a Sherpa is? Those are the guys who help the people who climb Mount Everest. They haul all their gear on their back. A lot of times we look like Sherpas. We get very strange looks from people because we've got all this gear strapped to us and stuff in our hands, and we're climbing straight up a hillside to a spot that doesn't make any sense. And people will sit there and look at us and go, what's wrong with that person? Where are they going? And what are they doing? That's probably one of the most unique things about our job. Usually when people think about technology jobs, they think about being in an office and being at a desk and being with a computer and screens and all that sort of thing. And this technology job has a lot of outdoor components to it and exploration components to it. Learning about history of an area also helps. So that's kind of unique in that I don't spend very much time at a desk anymore, which makes me really happy because I'd much rather be out and about and meeting new people and going places and introducing them to this technology and creating original content. So that's probably the most unique thing about my job. I'd have to think about that some more. That's a great question, Grace. Yes, absolutely. That's what I think, folks need to understand is technology isn't all about just desk jobs and office jobs, but there's this whole creative element to it. So we call it content creation. And I like going out and actually doing the content creation more than sitting here telling other people to do it. There's people who do that as well. But if you get the opportunity to actually be a creator and go out and create content yourself, then that's where things get really exciting. So yeah, I spend more time. I actually, when we moved into our new office, they wanted to give me a nice office and everything. And I said, well, why would you do that? It's just going to be wasted space. I just need a table to put my computer on periodically so that I can do interviews with really cool people like you. And then I'm going to go back out into the world and do my job.
Some of the unique things about Vince's career is that he spends a lot of time outdoors, hiking and looking for the perfect spot to set up his 360 camera. Most people think he would sit behind a desk and computer all day, but as a content creator, he gets to explore. And for our bonus question, what was the most fun, coolest thing you got to film?
Well, I don't know if fun is the right term, but the coolest, most interesting thing we have filmed so far with the 360 VR video camera was a room full of doctors and nurses, and one doctor was extracting a heart out of a cadaver. And that's not something I figured I would ever see in my entire life. So that one was very, very interesting to me. The neat thing about doing this work is we're constantly experiencing things that we never thought we would experience, going places we never thought we would go, and learning things that we never thought we would learn. I've learned so much about so many different things doing this job. It's crazy. So I think my next one, I have an opportunity coming up where, you know, those great big river barges that go down the rivers like the Mississippi River or the Missouri River. So there's huge boats that move all this cargo. They're going to let me film on one of those going down the river. So I'm excited about that. That's going to be really fun and interesting.
The most interesting thing Vince has ever filmed was a doctor removing a heart from a cadaver, which is a dead body, as a part of training exercise for medical students and nurses. He loves all the new experiences he gets to have and learning new things. Well, that is all we have for today. And I want to thank Mr. Vince for answering some of my questions. And he definitely answered my questions and probably answered some of the Think Big Kid questions.
Oh, good. Thank you so much, Grace, for having me today. I really enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing you in the metaverse again sometime soon.
I hope so. Thanks, Vince, for taking time to meet with me and share about your experiences as a virtual reality entrepreneur. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment down below about something new you learned in today's video. And remember, Think Big Kids, you're not thinking if you're not thinking big.